Welcome to Sikhcast, brought to you by Sikh Research Institute, illuminating every path.
Waheguru Ji Ka Khalsa, Waheguru Ji Ki Fateh. My name is Jasleen Kaur, and I'm a translator on the Guru Granth project. We're excited to announce the release of the second series of compositions on the wedding ceremonies. So these are compositions that are sung both during and after wedding ceremonies. There are 6 total, so I'm just going to talk about one today, which is Wedding Ceremony 5. It's a composition by Bhagat Kabir, and it's uttered in Rag Asa. So for those who maybe don't remember, Rag Asa is a rag of hope and ambition. It inspires its listeners to cultivate kind of the courage to do what we know is right, to kind of cultivate a determination to do what is right. And so in that context, Bhagat Kabir is invoking a sentiment of determination about who he will be marrying. And it sort of navigates and disrupts this prevailing culture or paradigm of his time. He uses the imagery of the wedding procession to disrupt these popular cultural paradigms and communicate a larger message about the relationship between the individual as the human bride, as the seeker, with Ikongad, who is the groom or the spouse. So in the Raha line, Bhagat Kabir says, "Sing, O newly married brides, sing the joyful songs of Ikongaj praises. King Ram, the beautiful sovereign, the dearest bridegroom, has come into my heart home." What strikes me about this Raha line is that, one, that sense of the presence of the one has already happened. So that connection, that union has already happened. Bhagat Kabir has felt the presence of the one within, and has called on the other connected seekers, the other newlywed brides, to come and celebrate with him. And this kind of presence, this kind of union, this kind of connection is one that transcends our worldly understandings of what it means to be wedded or in union. Bhagat Kabir sort of uses the imagery that we associate with wedding preparation and the festivities in general, where we kind of spend a lot of time figuring out how to decorate our homes, decorate ourselves. We figure out what outfits we want to wear, what colors we're thinking. Now people sort of come up with a color palette. So there's a lot that kind of goes into the visible beauty that people cultivate in celebration of this occasion. And so Bhagat Kabir sort of asks us to transcend that worldly understanding of what it means to be adorned, or what it means to be wearing a particular color, to dye your clothes so that they are particularly bright. And he says that in this union, he has made his body a vessel. So he says, having made the body a vessel, I dye my mind again and again. So for Bhagat Kabir, the color of the clothing that we wear is temporary, but the coloring of this body internally is not temporary. It's lasting. It causes us to exist in a different state. And externally, that coloring, that dyeing, manifests in a change in behavior, in a cultivation of virtues that is visible, in just a different sort of disposition as we exist in the world and in that relationship. And so the question that we're kind of asked implicitly is what is coloring us? For Bhagat Kabir, the one coloring him is the Guru, implicitly, because the wisdom is what allows us to cultivate the virtues. It's what shows us how to live in devotion and in love of the one. And he's kind of asking us to reflect on that as human brides, as seekers. And he also says that for him, his wedding procession, instead of being made up of particular family members or dignitaries or people, this is also something that we kind of have anxiety about, who to include in the wedding party, and for what reasons. And if we include this person, do we have to include this person, right? There's so much kind of anxiety that goes into that and thought. And for Bhagat Kabir, his wedding procession is made up of the 5 elements, of the 5 virtues that are always present within us, but that we have to kind of cultivate, we have to bring out of ourselves. And again, Bhagat Kabir says that his groom, his spouse, is the beautiful and sovereign Ikongad. He says that he's going to be making these wedding circumambulations with that beautiful sovereign. And the thing that I think just strikes me about kind of every line of this composition is the deep conviction and certainty with which Bhagat Kabir is talking about this relationship. Something I've been thinking about a lot recently is this question of worthiness. I think maybe as humans who have our own kind of self-criticisms, we often think we are not worthy of this relationship. We don't think sometimes that we're even worthy of existing in any kind of communication with the Guru or with Ikongad. And so for Bhagat Kabir to completely disrupt paradigms that tell us that only particular people are worthy, or that this union can only happen on a particular day or at a particular time with certain mantras or certain rituals and certain sort of divine middlemen, certain pundits, certain holy people who can connect us with the one. Instead of all of that, Bhagat Kabir is like, no, I'm having this wedding and I'm going to circumambulate with this beloved. And there's nobody I have to invite. There's nobody that has to come and say a particular thing. There's nobody who is kind of standing between me and the one that I love. And the only thing that's being uttered in this ceremony is the wisdom that exists within us, that is brought out by the Guru, by the wisdom, the deep knowledge of the one that we can cultivate within us without anybody else, only through the guidance of the wisdom, through wisdom orientedness. And that is so deeply revolutionary to me and so kind of exciting to me that Bhagat Kabir is sort of, he's turning everything on its head. He also says the people who come to watch this ceremony are kind of the most distinguished, the most supreme, celebrated beings, the ones who are in tune with the one, and they've come to witness this extraordinary union. This thing that is sort of miraculous, if I can use that word, this thing that has no explanation. So it's not that Bhagat Kabir has physically changed anything. It's not that he has physically asked for a particular person to be present. It's not that his body and mind have been made new, but that he has become colored in this love and devotion, and that the divine, who is always present, is now being felt by Bhagat Kabir. And that's about internal change and external change in disposition and perspective that's brought about by our relationship with the wisdom. I would like to leave you with a couple of thoughts. This composition, I've said many times in this one video, really disrupts paradigms that exist, and it disrupts them again and again and again. And it's kind of remarkable for that reason. Marrying the sovereign Ikonkar is a disruption of every system that exists in that time that tells us that only a few people can claim this relationship exclusively. Hierarchies of caste and status are disintegrated, and the most important thing becomes how we are preparing ourselves internally, how we are coloring ourselves in devotion. I think just the intimacy of this composition is really important. It disrupts the kind of formalities and religiosities of those existing paradigms, and there's no religious authority that's being invoked. So I think the thing that I've been thinking about a lot is in the context of wedding ceremonies, in the context of this extended sort of symbolism or metaphor that we understand of ourselves as the human brides and Ikonkar as the spouse, maybe we often just kind of understand that as a thing where we are in longing and we want to be in love and in connection, and we are in love, and there's so much that's exciting about that intimate relationship, but maybe we lose the sense of how that itself is really revolutionary. How that relationship, an ability to have that kind of intimacy with this vast one, with this vast Ikonkar, is deeply political and deeply revolutionary, especially in this context of Bhagat Kabir and in the context of the Guru period and beyond still. So I think that's something that I've really been thinking about, is how is even that great love political and revolutionary? And we talk a lot about there is no separation between the spiritual and the political, but what does it really mean for someone like Bhagat Kabir to say, this is the one I'm marrying, and the only thing I need is the wisdom and the effort of cultivating devotion within me and the community of those who have done this. And so I'm wondering what it would look like for us to have this kind of certainty, for this kind of revolution to kind of permeate our understanding of our relationship with the one, for us to be intimately adoring in this way. No one can keep Bhagat Kabir from his beloved. So what would it look like for us as seekers to have that kind of conviction in our relationship, that kind of faith, that kind of unbreakable bond in our seeking? What would it look like for us to cultivate a community of happily wedded seekers who know that there's more than enough love to go around, who are showing us the way, who are celebrating with us? What would it look like for us to color ourselves in that love that is revolutionary and paradigm shifting? So those are the things that I'm thinking about. And I hope you guys all spend some time with every composition in your own time, with the literal translations, with the transcriptions, with the footnotes as always, and with the commentary. And see how this maybe helps you frame your relationship with the beloved in a new way. Waheguru Ji Ka Khalsa, Waheguru Ji Ki Fateh.
Read the translations and commentaries at gurugranthsahib.io.
You were listening to Sikhcast by Sikh Research Institute, illuminating every path.